just came in today, and I wanted to share it with you guys. That would be the Ontario Rat 1 SP. Now, Ontario Knife Company, for Ontario Knife Company, this was probably their most popular folding knife. And this blade has an AUS 8 steel blade of approximately 3.5 inches in length. Close, it's about 5 inches in length. Edge type, if you were to look on Ontario Knife Company's website, they say it's a plain edge, which I'm not exactly sure what they mean by that, but anyway. Blade finish, satin, blade material, like I said before, AOS 8 stainless steel. I think this weighs about, we look on their website again, they say 0.3 pounds, and you've got a thumb stud for deployment, and it is a liner lock. Now that I have this open, if we look here, the lock, really secure, no movement in the blade, either up or down, side to side. Very easy access to that liner lock as well. They've got a very generous cutout on the side here. The handles or the scales are made of a nylon material. Not quite sure exactly the material. They say nylon 6, which I'm not really familiar with, to be quite honest. But nice and grippy without being irritating or overly harsh. You've got some jimping on the back with an interesting little ramp, which makes for positioning your thumb and really precision cutting. A breeze with this thing. I really like the feel of this handle, actually. This feels really comfortable in the hand, very ergonomic. You've got a 3-screw pocket clip that is reversible, and it's set up to be carried currently in a point down carry. However, you do have different spacing on different options on the scales, so that way, if you wanted to carry it a different way, in fact, what I'll probably end up doing is changing this so that way I can carry it in a point up position like I normally would carry any of my other knives, which would be just moving this clip over to this side, and that would allow me to carry it point up. But I love the fact that you're able to really change how you want to hold or carry this knife. Very smooth action. I don't know if those are bearings. They look like they could be bearings there. I don't see any real information as to what's in the pivot, at least as far as I can tell on their website. But it was a very smooth snap using the thumb studs. Very quick action. A very nice sound to that liner lock, and a pretty good finish on that blade. They say satin, but it's polished pretty well. It is made in Taiwan, and on the other side we do have Ontario Knife Company's logo, as well as Model 1 and AUS 8 for the steel. And the scales are rounded off quite nicely. Now, we might go ahead and move that pocket clip now while I continue to talk about this knife. Now, this knife, again, is kind of like a bit of folder history, which is kind of neat. Let me see what size these are real quick before I continue. Okay, so it's not T8. I don't know if I have a T6 available. I don't have my... Oh, just realized I don't have my tool set here. Let me go grab my tool set. Now, the creation of this knife dates back to a collaboration with Randall's Adventure and Training Team, where you get the name RAT. This partnership began back in 2002 and led to a production of a series of knives designed for hardcore adventurers and civilians and professional soldiers. They've been used in various conflicts around the world, including Afghanistan and Iraq. And it's just been known for its very robust construction. You can feel it when you handle the knife. It feels like a very solid, well-built knife. And let's see if I can't change that, the positioning of that pocket clip. Now, I'm not sure. We'll try a T6 and see how that works. I tried a T8, that was too big. I believe that would be a T6. Yes, a T6. And I want to change this because I prefer a tip. I should close that. I prefer a tip up carry on my knives. Woo. And that is why you close the knife. Okay. Now if we can just remove, there we go. Keeping all the screws in, we're just going to flip this over. We'll see if we can get the screws to settle in their respective holes. There we go. I'll add a little bit more torque to that. Ideally, I'd probably use some Loctite on there. That should suffice for now. Nice and tight, much better. And then I can carry it in my pocket, tip up, with the blade back against the back seam of my pocket, which is how I like to carry all my knives. The pocket clip is relatively flat. You got a swoop down like in every other one, but the nice thing about this is the very end doesn't come up very high and then has a bend that flattens it out a little bit. So hopefully that'll cut down on the amount of snagging. We got no back liner here. You got a bunch of standoffs, and when closed, let's see how that looks. Looks relatively centered, a little off, just a little off, not too bad though. I've seen a lot worse. That is a really smooth feeling movement on the blade and really quick. And I love the sound of that lockup. It's very solid, very reassuring lockup sound. And pretty decent detent. The blade's not going to fall out on you. It's not going to come open at the wrong time. Now that I moved the pocket clip on this one, still feels really comfortable. More like what I'm used to feeling now when I'm handling a knife. I can feel that pocket clip at the back of my knuckles, but it's not feeling uncomfortable at all. Possibly maybe with a long amount of use at a time. Like if I'm doing literally like hours worth of cutting material, boxes or whatever, I can see that getting a little irritating, but otherwise I doubt it's going to get anywhere to that point. So it does feel really good in the hand and nice solid weight. I should measure this because they said 0.3 pounds on that one, which doesn't really tell me a whole lot. I don't know how to convert it. So we'll just go to my trusty scale. And we've got 5.04 ounces according to my scale. So a bit weighty, but very reassuring weight. All right, let's put that off to the side. In fact, let's put this tool back away. All right. So it looks like we had T6 hardware for the pocket clip. From what I briefly saw, You know what? Let's take a look again. I don't know if that's T6 or T8. No, that's T6 here as well for the scales. And the pivot definitely looks a bit bigger. Let me fit. Do I have a T8? There we go. I'll try a T8 and a pivot. Seems a little bigger than a T8. Let's try a T10. Yeah, pivot's a T10. I don't think I need to deal with messing around with a pivot because, like I said, it feels really good, and that blade is nice and solid in there. So I don't think I'm going to need to mess with that. And that's, again, right out of the box. Now that we have that situated, let's see how the blade is out of the box. Now we do have what appears to be a drop point blade. Nice amount of cutting surface on this 3.5-inch length blade. Appears to be a flat grind. Oh. Nice and sharp out of the box. And all along the edge of that blade. I'm trying to purposely cut the paper at an angle now to see if I can bevel the paper. And I appear to be able to do so. Not too much tearing, a little bit of tearing when I try to bevel it, but that's expected when I'm trying to do it at an angle such as what I was doing before. Otherwise, super sharp right out of the box. Really nice job on the finishing of that blade. I don't believe I'm going to have to do anything to this blade until it's seen some serious use. They did a really good job at finishing that. And again, nice and smooth. Let me see what happens. I always do this anyway with every knife. So I'm not doing this to relieve any type of issue or anything like this. This is more to protect the knife against corrosion and also premature wear at the pivot. But I'll add some KPL, some knife pivot lube to the pivot point. We'll put a drop on either side. That's one. And that's two. And we'll let that work its way in. Now, like I said before, it was smooth and quick, even prior to the lube. We'll work that around a little bit. I do feel a bit of improvement. It's even smoother feeling. I thought it felt smooth before, but this is nice. Even quicker. Still just enough friction to keep the blade from falling, which I am actually fine with. My biggest thing is how the knife feels when I'm trying to deploy it. Is it smooth when I'm deploying it? Is it quick when I'm deploying it? And this is both, even though it's still got enough friction to hold the blade in place. Most liner locks generally do because of that liner lock. And again, it's a pretty solid detent when closed, but not hard to actuate when you need the blade. So a little bit of difference with the knife pivot oil, which is nice. But to be quite honest, I don't think it needed any of that, at least for its action. That was, again, primarily just to protect it against corrosion and premature wear. It's a very solid feeling knife. Feels like it'd be a really reliable tool. And again, just really neat to have. I've wanted one of these for quite some time. I've heard a rumor that they stopped manufacturing these knives, that these are no longer being made. I did check Ontario Knife Company's website, and they are currently sold out of the knife. However, I am still able to find it available on other websites. I purchased mine on Whatnot from Chasing Blades. They own a website also called unwaveringendeavors.com. That's where I got mine. I do also see them on Amazon, and I'm pretty sure they're available on other websites as well, to varying degrees of price. I know on Ontario's website, they had a price listed for $60.95. However, if you go to Amazon, Amazon is showing them for, or is selling them for $42.57, which could be a sale price because I am showing a 13% off notation on Amazon, and other websites might have them for various other prices as well. This one again is the Rat 1, and they do have a smaller version, which I recall is the Rat 2, where this has a 3.5-inch blade. The Rat 2 has a 3-inch blade, but otherwise is pretty much the same in terms of make, quality, and price-wise. Runs a little less on Amazon for $36.02 at the time that this video was created. A really interesting knife, very solidly built. Kind of reminds me almost of Cold Steel with their what they call it, Grivery scales, and interesting shape. I love the feel. Again, the ergonomics on this knife are exceptional, and I love how you have 4 total choices of where you can put that pocket clip, something you don't really see too often. At best, you might have a left-handed, right-handed choice, and something I would love to see more of in other models. But really cool knife, really inexpensive, and has a rich history of just being a very reliable knife. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you have a rat of your own, or if you're looking to get one. Again, it's just a rumor, or at least that's what I've heard, that they've stopped making them. I have no confirmation on whether they have stopped making them. If you know, off chance, whether they've stopped making them or not, let me know. Comment below and let me know if you have one yourself, what you think of it, or if you're even planning on getting one. Thanks again for all your support. And if you liked what you saw, please drop a like down below. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and that way you'll be notified of any future videos as soon as they are dropped. But thank you again so much for all your support, and hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.